All right, my dear friends, how are you today? Aaron here, bringing you your daily horoscope for Wednesday, the 18th of March 2020. We've got the moon up here in Capricorn still, all right? The moon is going to be meeting up really early in the morning around 5 a.m. with Mars. Then it's going to conjunct Jupiter. And then around 11, it's going to conjunct Pluto, okay? And then for the majority of the day between 11 a.m. and 9 p.m., it's going to be in the middle of Pluto and Saturn, okay? And again, the moon is our emotional needs up there in Capricorn and our sign of government, okay? What do we need right now from our government? How do we need to be within our governmental society? How are we governing ourselves during this time, right? And it's, again, in a place, it's in its opposite place of its home. It's in its fall, okay, where the moon is natural home in Cancer. And this is an emotional lack of, okay, not feeling, all right? Or let me show you the chart here. Show you what's going on. All right, so this is about 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Moon conjuncts Mars, an emotional need. Now, whoever's up at this point in time, again, wherever in the world you are at, right, there is a need to march forward. You know, it's like holding our heads up high and marching forward. We're all dealing with and going through some interesting times right now. There's interesting economical times right now. Some of us are fortunate enough to get up around this time and be going to work. Some of us are on hold from that, you know. So how do we march forward? How do we gracefully march forward right now during this time? Well, you know, just an hour, 2 hours later, 7 a.m., the moon meets up with Jupiter, right? And Jupiter is also limited here in the sign of Capricorn. It shows us abundance in scarcity, right? Where the rest of the zodiac, Jupiter has a lot of free range to add its abundance. And in Capricorn, ruling by Saturn, you know, it's saying it's squeezing every last drop out of the cactus. You know, this cactus can only hold so much water. This bottle of water can only hold so much of that sweet, nourishing liquid. And then we're at our final drop. You know, doing everything we can to squeeze the last drop out of that, right? So it's showing us how do we persist, because Capricorn is all about persistence, right? Slow and steady wins the race this year, right? We've been talking about that for the past 3 months. You know, it's daily, little increment by little increment, okay? And not using all of it in, you know, in one sitting, right? So Jupiter wants us to expand our emotions while Mars is saying drive forward, right? And both in this place of how do we conduct ourselves the best right now to do what's best for myself as an individual, for myself as in my career, right? And then we have this connection with Pluto, which is about transformation, okay? And that happens at 11 a.m., just before 11 a.m., but right around there, right? How are we using these tools, right? This lack of something to change us. Will this change us? Will this have a life-altering effect on us? The answer is yes, right? And it's funny, you know, at the end of February, we had these, you know, January to February, we had these beautiful septiles being created between Pluto and Neptune and Saturn and Neptune, you know, which was all about life-changing experiences, fate and destiny, right? Where now they're still making, you know, some sextiles, some easy flow of energy, but that fate and destiny connection of, if you remember back, if you've been following me since January and into February, it's just like, how can we change our lives? How can we create that metamorphosis that we need to get to where we're going? You know, and what's happening right now globally, economically, astrologically, is giving us the fuel that we need to make those alterations, right? And now we have the moon in between Saturn and Pluto for the rest of the day until the conjunction at 9 p.m., just before 9 p.m. It's exact, between 8 and 9 p.m., right? Which this is the ruling planet of Capricorn here. So when the moon finally meets up with Saturn, it's just like, stop, wait, check before we go into Aquarius. Okay, this is the checkpoint. I say that every month, checkpoint Charlie, right? This is our checkpoint right here. And how are we handling this? How are we allowing this energy to change our lives? Because it should be. It absolutely should be life-changing right now, right? We have this sextile as well between Saturn and the Sun. Okay, that it's an easy flow of energy. The last 2 days here before spring, the last 2 days of the Sun being in Pisces before we get this surge of energy, right? So there's a sense between today and tomorrow, and Thursday is a very important day astrologically, and into Friday, on how are we handling ourselves? What are we doing during this time to make the changes that are necessary for us to succeed, right? If we're on this last drip of water out of the water bottle, or this last bit of juice from the cactus, if you will, what are we doing to secure, right? To secure our resources, our funds, what we have readily available to us, to allow it to withstand the winter. Capricorn is the winter. So although we're ending the winter season, all of this energy within Capricorn right now is giving us lessons. How are we and what are we doing? Did we chop enough wood, right, to last? Did we save enough money? Did we blow all of our money? Do we not expect things like this to happen? Because things like this do happen, and they happen. Again, let's go back to 2008 when Jupiter was in Capricorn last. It's economic crisis, okay? Go back to 1930s, 1934, last time Uranus was in Taurus, right? My great-grandmother, she kept all of her money in shoe boxes because she didn't trust the bank. She didn't trust the financial institutions, right? We're dealing with some of those same reoccurrences right now. The bank down the street from me is closing. My bank is closing. It's like April 7th. There's a big sign on the window. We're closed. It's like, can we rely on our financial institutions? Can we rely on our government? Can we rely on big business to keep us afloat right now, right? And this starts us off into what's coming the next 2.5 days here, when the moon moves into Aquarius on Thursday, Friday, and part of Saturday, right? A good chunk of Saturday. So we're going to take this time right now, use it wisely, and say, how can I create enough abundance for myself? How can I create enough? How can I ration, this water? How can I ration that cactus? Whatever it may be. How can I take what I have, my resources, ration them to make sure that we can survive? We don't want to be caught up in the frenzy. And it's interesting, right? Going out, it's like, you can be within a foot of somebody buying groceries, but they're like, okay, no more people can assemble of 10. You have to be 10 feet apart, and only 10 people maximum in capacity at a place in any given time. There's these interesting laws that are being created right now for our safety, right? For our safety. But yet we flog to the stores to buy. Canned goods are gone, and frozen goods are gone, and toilet paper. Man, pallets of toilet paper gone in 20 minutes. This is a really, really interesting time for us right now. So on one hand, we have this frenzy because of scarcity. So again, it's how do we manage all of this? How do we manage our time? How do we manage where we're headed? We've got Mercury back there in Pisces again, still working through its shadow. It's not even at 2 degrees yet, right? We got a ways to go before Mercury is out of this fog, out of this media frenzy, you know. And it's, part of me wonders, I don't like seeing anybody getting ill or passing. That's, I'm a compassionate human being, as we all are. Like, we don't want to see those things. And I often wonder if, we didn't have this buzz of the media, and it's a coin toss. On one side it's a frenzy, and on another side it's accurate information, but if we didn't have this media buzz that's been going on, would we be acting differently? Would we be doing things differently? How would we be conducting our lives? I guess that's the coin toss. But we have Mercury in the sign of Pisces for quite some time right now, which is going to add to that. So how much do we tune in? I mean, if we're in our isolated places, how much do we tune in to what's going on? It's up to us as individuals, right? We still got Venus down there, almost halfway through her sign of Pisces right now. Okay, make an interesting quintile to Mercury. All right, those quintiles are what? That is creative flow of energy. How do we use this knowledge? How do we use this information to ration our money, to spend our money wisely? What are we doing with our money, right? We still have the sextile from the North Node to Uranus over here to Chiron. That's not going away anytime soon. Chiron's still squaring the nodes, right? Where do I go? Do I stay in? Do I go out? Do I trust the government? Do I trust the opinion of the news? And especially what's coming. Why I say what's coming the next 3 days is because there's a need for community, right? There's a need for social justice. There's a need for social community that's coming. And this, it starts, just after 9 p.m., okay? Where we're going to start to feel stir crazy, where it's just like, I want to get out. I want to do things. I want to be around community, right? And we'll talk more about that tomorrow, because it's extremely important. And how do we manage and how do we govern ourselves during a time where we absolutely need people, And that's when I put out the coronavirus astrology video, and that's some of the debate I'm getting back about it. It's just like, well, we need community. The community adds to our health. And at this point in time, we're saying, well, no, the community is hurting your health and going to make it worse. This is a very interesting balance that's going on right now, again, in how we govern ourselves and how the government is telling us to react and how to be and what to do, and the laws that are restricting us of living human beings, right? So it's up to us to decide how we want to manage and how we want to handle these. And wrapping this up, which is extremely important if you stayed with me this long, is using this energy wisely to create what you want to create in this life, right? If all of a sudden work is gone, if all of a sudden what if this is how it is for the next year? What do we do? How do we survive? How do we keep the lights on? How do we keep ourselves alive and nourished, virus aside? At that point, the virus is almost the least amount of concern. You know what I mean? If we can't survive, if we can't pay our bills, it's like the union scab workers. We got a certain hand of people going on strike. I'm not going to work for this business. I'm not going to do this anymore, because we're not being paid a fair wage, or we're not being supplemented with what we should be for our work. And then you got these other individuals that's saying, I just need a job, man. I just need to put food on my table for my family, right? So how do I respond? How do I act? I'm the enemy now of my friends because I'm choosing to go to work, right? So it's, again, really interesting times in how we're choosing to do what we're doing, and using this energy to make practical decisions, logical decisions that are going to help us in the long run to be able to provide security for ourselves and our closest loved ones, right? So have a happy Wednesday. Wednesdays are Odin's day, right? Mercury days. So be informed. Be informed and use your intuition as Mercury is in Pisces, using our intuition, tapping in. A good time to meditate, to go within and see what is it that we need to do. How can we live? How can we survive during this crisis? Where are we going? What's the next step? Because we're going to get to the top of the mountain, and that's what the goat teaches us in astrology. We're going to get through this. We are. There's inspiration, there's positivity, there's empowerment through this. Through a lack of, there's a huge amount of gain on another end. Okay, so there's a strong calling for us to look at the bright side and be positive through this, and work this to our advantage. To make the right life changes that are going to add to that, to our lives, to our security, to our finances, and so on, right? All right, friends, as always, thank you for hanging out with me. I wish you enough. And we'll see you tomorrow.